F1 season is starting in just a couple of months, and this year we aren't actually going to have an official F1 26 game, and instead we're going to be getting an F1 26 DLC for F1 25. But there is still a lot of questions surrounding it, such as when is the release going to be, how much do we think it's going to be, what is actually going to be the content in said update. So in this video, I'm going to discuss all of it because there is some new information, including an actual announcement date. So let's talk about it. Now, the most recent piece of information dropped today, which you guys can see right here. It's actually the Season 5 article that EA posted today, which goes over what is happening in Season 5 on F1 25. But if you scroll down to the bottom of it, you will see this, a look to the future, where it does say, in case you missed it, we shared an important update about the future of EA Sports F1 towards the end of last year, including the announcement that the 2026 season will feature as a paid expansion to F1 25. As we approach the hotly anticipated real-world 2026 season, we'll be sure to share in the excitement and reveal more of what is to come alongside Season 6. Make sure you don't miss any info by following the EA Sports social media, etc, and of course just telling you to pick up F1 25 today. So at the start of Season 6, we are going to be getting some more information. March 4th is the actual date which aligns with the start of the F1 season, and I'm really excited to see that anyways. Now, I don't think that this means that we'll actually see the release of the season in March, because when you think about it, they still have the cars to model, they still have the liveries to model, etc. So maybe it can be a little bit earlier this year for the DLC as opposed to the normal May or June launches of the game. So I want to guess maybe an May or April launch, probably even the later half in June. But I think just because it's not a whole new game and it's just the DLC itself, April and May kind of make a lot of sense here. But now let's talk about some other details about what we can expect to have in F1 26. Let's go back to the old post that dropped last year, which gives us some more information on what we can see. Now, this post, if you do remember, dropped last year in November, and it was probably the biggest drop we've ever had. I think it took a lot of people off guard, because stepping away from yearly F1 games, which has literally been the norm for EA and Codemasters for like 10 plus years, is crazy to really see. But anyways, on the topic of 2026, it was mentioned here, a premium content update will bring players closer to the sport's major changes for 2026. So that includes the new cars, the regulations, the teams, and of course the drivers. So for your questions about will Audi and Cadillac be in the 2026 DLC, the answer is, well, yeah, obviously, because they're part of the grid in the 2026 season anyways. Of course, in this post, they also talk about F1 27, which I'm not going to cover because I've already made a video about that, and if you haven't seen that already, up on the screen right now, as I do think that F1 is going to have an open world feature. And trust me when I say that, when you watch that video, I think you'll believe me with it as well. But apart from that, it doesn't mention anything else other than it's going to be a paid expansion, and we don't know the price, but I can give you some examples of this scenario happening before. Although the actual cost of the game was a bit cheaper, so the DLC might have been the same in terms of the price reduction. So maybe for F1, we can expect it $5 or $10, a little bit more expensive. But EA WRC is a very good example of when EA actually skipped a year and instead just dropped a DLC instead. So let's talk about that too. Now, SteamDB is a really good website at finding out this type of stuff. So right here is EA WRC, and right now the current price, if I go back to the launch of the game, you guys can see right here, it launched at basically 49 euros. You can use this to basically convert it to your currency as well anyways, but 49 euros is what the expected price was. And if I go over, so yeah, basically 50 bucks in euros, and whether you're in USD or British pound or Canadian or etc, I'm sure you'll be able to use this website and convert it to your local currency, or you know what I mean. But if you head over to the DLC tab, it will give you some more information about this game. This game launched in November 3rd in 2023, and you can see that there was 2 DLCs that came in the following year in October, because what had happened is EA WRC said, you know what, we're not going to actually make any more WRC games, which to be honest is a shame, because I think that also included the fact of Dirt Rally as well. So the whole Dirt franchise and Rally franchise from Codemasters is dead, which again, sad to see. But anyways, you have these two bundles which came out later on. And with that, they said they're just going to skip the year and release this update for EAWC just to give out the 2024 season. And with that, you guys can see these two DLCs, which let's go ahead and check out the price and the content of each right now. Now, the expansion bundle included all the DLC content that released for EAWC that year. So you had the location and cars pack, which I'll move my camera over to this side so you can see, the hard chargers, and of course the La Maestros as well. Now, this came at a price of $39.99, which you're gonna be like, whoa, hold on, 40 euros for a DLC that just brings a couple of stuff? Well, hold on, because if you only wanted the actual seasonal content of EAWC for the 2024 season, don't worry, it's actually a lot cheaper, which I'll show you right now. And it's this right here. So this basically added the 2024 season stuff, which added 2 new locations, so Tet Rally Latvia and also the Orland 80th Rally in Poland as well. Included 5 new vehicles, so you had the Puma Rally 1 for 2024, the i20N for 2024, the GR Yaris in Rally 1 and GR Yaris in Rally 2, both of course 2024, and the Ford Fiesta Rally 3 Evo as well. It came with 52 new liveries and 104 new drivers and co-drivers, obviously representing the 2024 season. Of course, with that, you guys can see all the screenshots and the liveries here as well. Pretty easy and obvious to see, but this came in at a price of 30 Canadian, which when you convert it to euros, I'm not sure why it's showing Canadian, because well, fun fact, I'm actually from Canada, but now I live in France. But very quickly, I can go back to the SteamDB website and you can see it's basically 20 euros. And if you wanted to go ahead and check in any other currency, you guys can see it all right here. In Canadian dollar, as I mentioned, 29 bucks. US dollar, obviously 19 bucks as well. And if I can find the British pound right here at 17 pounds. Now, the issue here is that EWC is technically a cheaper game that they sold anyways. And F125 is obviously more expensive at launch than EAWC, but I think it's totally fair to expect this DLC for F125 to cost basically between 20 and 30 euros at max, which if you're in British pounds, basically 20 to 25 or maximum 30 British pounds you can expect, which is actually a pretty good deal when you think about it. I mean, we've been spending basically 80-90 bucks per year on F125, and for the first year ever, we're actually going to spend half that for a DLC, which basically includes everything that comes in the new season. Now that I talked to you guys about the release date, the possible price, and just a rough idea of what the content can be, let's quickly go over some questions that a developer at EA answered before we end off this video. So just to give you guys some more details on what you can actually expect in the upcoming season, one of the developers answered to a question about what players can expect to see for obviously the DRS and ERS changes, was while we don't have anything to share right now, our aim is to authentically reflect the full 2026 FIA Formula 1 World Championship in the next year's expansion. The update will feature the new regulations, the cars, the driver changes, the new teams including Audi and Cadillac F1, and aligning with the new sporting regulations, vehicle handling and performance will be updated, reflecting how the cars look and feel, which I think is pretty important. So it looks like we are going to be getting some new handling model in this update as well. Now with that, all race weekend content will reflect the 2026 season, so liveries, teamwear, and circuit updates, which is going to be in relation to the regulation changes. If you guys remember, the actual DRS zones I think are going to be updated, and the boost zones, if I remember correctly. I have to re-watch the whole regulation change video that F1 dropped a couple of weeks ago, but the tracks will have some new zones based on these new regulations. So obviously EA is going to change that as well. Now, how this could actually look in the EA game, I would assume is that you could still play F125 and just play the 2025 season, but they're going to add another section in the game for 2026 seasonal content. You know, if you want to do your My Driver, if you want to do your My Career in that season, etc., etc. I think it's just adding a split to the game, which I would assume is going to be the same in online as well. If you want to do some online play on the 2025 tracks or 2025 vehicles, just like how you guys are able to choose already between F2 2024 or F2 2025 or the F1 2025 vehicles. But that's basically all of the information we have so far, guys, on what's happening for F1 26. If you guys want more news and information about this game and when the DLC will release, hit that subscribe button below and like this video for more information. I'll see you guys in another video. I'm Formula Alex, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.